That's why I had you, brother. Can you hear me now? I'm sorry about that, y'all. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I apologize. I was so good. You didn't miss anything. I was complaining about the fucking light, and I was complaining about the camera, and I got this new camera, and it's turning my skin green. Like I promise you that I'm not fluorescent green. So normally, as you guys know, I got a little black light. I put up the black light. It never used to make my skin green, but now there's something that has changed in here. So now I got. Now I'm gonna have to do okay, mic up some more. Are you sure about this mic up thing? We're having all type of problems. What the fuck is going on? Hello? How's this one? It's Tuesday. Is this a little better for you? It's Tuesday. I definitely need my mic. So my microphone has got to be loud enough for me to talk shit, quietly. But I don't want it to distort if I rage out or something. All right, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate you guys. I really apologize for starting the show without everybody. You can hear me, you can't hear me. What the fuck is going on? How about the music and everything? Everything's all right? I don't understand why the settings are different. I don't know what's going on. I'm trying to improve, not fall apart here. All right, what do we got going on? If anyone that's new here probably is like, this is fucking crazy. Yes, look, I got one for you, Scott. I'm ready for it. I just had to get through this introduction. I didn't realize what the hell is going on. Today's an important. We have important news today, as we do every day. But sometimes we do a little bit of news and education. Sometimes I fall apart completely. But today we have some education. All right. So if you are new here, I'm gonna try this all over again. And if there's anything wrong with the audio, we already know I have to fix this whole picture thing because my skin's fucking green. So I got to do something about that tomorrow. But for now, we'll try the introduction over. All right. Once again, let's all take a moment to celebrate our gift and continue our musical journey together here on another episode of William versus the World. If this is your first time watching, today and each weekday we are learning, we are chatting, we are playing the music twice. We don't want to do that. Today and each weekday we are learning, we are chatting, we are examining the top music industry stories, technology, social media. I know a lot of you guys are already challenged with the adventures of starting your own individual days, so I really appreciate you starting the day with me. Appreciate y'all. Thank you for being here, especially my good friend Scott is here, John, and my buddy Hans. If I did miss you, I apologize. You'll have to make yourself known. This is the only, I'm serious. This is the only, and I say that because you can't find any. So I get to, I get to say stuff like that. This is the only interactive live stream and chat on the internet where together we read, we dive deep, we cross-reference, we compare, we utilize the full power of the internet each day to discover, examine, unpack, unlock with a common sense approach, visiting each corner of the music industry. This is for independent, self-employed, and working DIY musicians, as well as fans of music and serious musicians every fucking where. All right. You may not know this, but I do. Our music is in trouble, everybody. Not just our music, but our authenticity. We're in trouble. Our music, our authenticity, our data, our driving habits, our shopping habits are all monitored. That may You may not like that news, and that may not be fun for you to hear, but they're logging and recording where we drive, what we listen to, our medical habits, our trips to the doctors. They're measuring our desires. They're measuring our fears and our searches. DoorDash, dating apps, and absolutely music apps and streaming apps have our digital fingerprint. Each moment of our waking day, just like today, we have a constant supply flooded with notifications. We're bombarded with algorithms. From the time we wake up, we spend our days starting with bots and metrics. We duck and dodge hackers and identity thieves throughout the day. Our cell phones, social media, and apps have maintained a constant grip on society and our children. So buckle up for each day for a stern look at the real music industry. That's what we cover here on this live stream. The real and unrecognizable music industry that's led by big tech, litigators, and shareholders. That's the real music industry. Get out your iPads, your Galaxies, your notebooks, or chalkboard. Get out your reference tools. It's time to do some homework on William versus the World. We got some good stuff for you guys today. If you notice up on the screen here, we have why you should play with a metronome. One of my favorite topics. Guys got to learn. If you guys want to teach stuff to me, if you guys want to meet eye to eye on an intellectual level with me, don't Google things and glance over things and try to teach me something. If you want to teach William something, you guys, we got to spend a little bit more time than just glancing over an article or a Google or Wikipedia result. I am the type of person, and that's why I have this program. I have the power and ability to lock eyes with good news, bad news. I have the ability and the attention span to lock onto these stories each day, every day, without breaking stride. I have the ability and the power and the rest. I have the concentration where I can dive deep layer by layer each day and commit to my dream. I can commit to the drive of acquiring this information and vast amounts of knowledge, hyper-focused on what we're doing here. Let me do that for you. Let me do that for you. That way, from here on out, we don't have to glance over. I know you guys don't got the time. And people are just stressed out for time, and they don't got enough free space and energy in their lives to learn a lot about something. We all know and glance over a few things and feel like we're experts. But very few of us have the time and the energy and the investment to dive deep into the music industry. I have done that my entire life. Allow me to do it for you. Like the apps, like your phone. I will do it for you because I know you ain't got the time to do it. Because you haven't done it already. If you're 25 years old or 30 years old and you haven't done it, you're not going to do it. Unless there's an unprecedented change in your life today. Unless you're seeing this program. If you could have all the talent in the world, if you don't have the drive to unlock this knowledge, if you don't have the drive and the space and the free time in your life to peel back the layers of the music industry, to peel back the layers of the tech, allow me to do that for you each morning. Hosting conversations and holding the attention with your fellow intelligent man, we've got to have self-awareness and due diligence. We live in a society where we think we can host and hold conversations by glancing over Wikipedia searches. We've got to get out of that. We've got to stop going to the doctor's office and Googling science and biology and then going to get a checkup and trying to explain to our doctors what's wrong with us. We've got to get out of that, guys. I'm an expert at researching art, entertainment, music, laws, litigation. I'm an expert. And it's not because I'm a high quality biological phenom. No, I have the investment of my whole life doing this. You see what I'm saying? It's not that I this is years and years of me acquiring knowledge. I'm not just looking at an article and putting it up on the screen and we're examining that one article. This has been an ongoing lifetime dedication and commitment for me since I was a baby. That's what I'm trying to say. I've been studying. Look, we're doing metronomes today. I've been using metronomes since I was a baby. No, a website didn't tell me that. My mother was a piano player. So this show is presented, and you could have a bunch of bands doing this. There's really no bands doing this. There's really no band members doing this. And that's because you'd have to be the type of person to dedicate your entire life, live, love, die on stage in order to have the drive and dedication to lock horns and lock eyes with the music industry. Do you ever wonder why does William have the balls to take on the music industry the way that I do? Why do I speak so boldly? It doesn't pique your interest why I'm that confident? I'm going to tell you why. Because I've spent my entire life with experts and professionals who at a young age were grooming me for this environment. I've been trained to be able to hold my attention span. I've been trained to lock eyes with the judge. I've been trained to survive in prisons. I've been trained to survive the law. I've been trained to survive rejection. I've been trained by mentors and experts and masters of the game. I had strong male role models in my life that trained me. All right. Why you should use a metronome. Now, I know there will be people in the audience that say, well, I don't use a metronome. And to those people, I think that that's awesome. And I don't think it makes you more or less a musician if you choose to or not to. I want to say that right out the gate. Because when we start talking about metronomes, we have to get over the ego mountain, okay? Before we have a conversation about music with musicians, we're going to have to get over the ego mountain, because we can't get to common sense until we get over the fucking ego mountain. So when I start talking about metronomes with guitar players and drummers and especially instrumentalists, when I start talking about metronomes, people become emotional and egotistical, and they start throwing common sense out the window. You know who doesn't complain about metronomes? Singers. Because singers always have to play to someone. And the metronome, when singers don't have a guitar player and they need to hold a beat, a metronome is no different. It's no different than tapping your hands and learning the lyrics and singing the song. So that's why singers don't really complain about this stuff, because I'm going to tap to the backbeat. You know, so singers have always kind of had their own backtracks and metronomes. You know, and the better you get at learning how to use a metronome, the better understanding that you have of rhythms, intervals, subdivisions, the better understanding you have of subdivisions, the less you'll hear the metronome at all. In fact, the more you hear the metronome, the less you know how to use it. The better you know how to use a metronome, the less you'll notice it even exists. Here we go. This doesn't mean that people that don't use them are less quality musicians, because there are some musicians at such a quality, it's true, they barely need them. Yes, that's right. There are some musicians that are such high quality musicians that they don't need metronomes at all. And this is where the confusion and the emotion and ego comes into play. Because most musicians are trying to play complicated music or modern music. And modern music is very tight, it's very poppy. Western modern music is very timely. Lots of bands and drummers and modern musicians, they want to play modern music. And modern music is made with computers. It's recorded on computers. And it's polished and mixed and mastered on computers. So a lot of the real instrumentalists want to try to play what they've recorded on their albums. So in order to do that, you're going to have to stay in time. Timing is going to be everything. The distance between one note and the next is what makes the song recognizable. People understand. If you understand the value of a quarter note, then you understand the freedom and the expression and the beauty between each note. Once you start to unlock and truly understand rhythm and truly understand subdivisions, you don't listen to the sound of the metronome. You understand the space between each beat. All right, let's get to work, okay? Before we get started, Scott said, don't get me wrong, I used to use one. It took a minute, but I found my timing, yet I still believe it's needed, especially if you are just starting out. Well, Scott, that brings up a great point, man. It really does, because that's where the ego gets us into trouble. The truth is really, really, really good musicians, Scott, this is English, so let's not get crazy here. Really quality, highly trained musicians can use the English and declare that they don't need it. Now, that could be they don't need it for a certain kind of music. They don't need it on stage, or they don't need it for a certain project. But if you're recording music, your computer needs it. So you need it. You see what I'm saying? So when you're recording, whether you know there's a metronome there or not, okay? Whether it is muted or the engineer decides to unmute it. When someone is recording you, they either have the metronome muted or you're listening to it in your headphones. So if you've ever recorded a song or a piece of music before, there is a passive metronome going on in the back, because computers record the music in time. Okay? So a person can make the debate, they could make the argument that maybe a metronome isn't needed for that particular instrumentalist on stage. I'm one of them. I don't use a metronome on stage. But William uses metronomes all the time in practice, and I use the metronomes 100% in my recordings. Do you get what I'm saying to you? I've never and will never record a song ever in my life. I'll take it to the grave. You will never hear a Sepsis song that's recorded without a metronome, ever. But I don't always practice with a metronome. I practice with mechanical metronomes, and I also practice with digital. So a lot of my practice is with a metronome. Technical practice, and if I'm doing like, if I'm working on my speed or if I'm working on accuracy, I use a metronome. If I'm working on expression, or I'm writing, or I'm doing improv, then maybe I'll put on a backtrack. Excuse me. If I'm doing improv, or I'm just having fun, or exploring and expressing myself, then I will use maybe a backtrack on YouTube, or I'll ask Lexi to play some ham drum beats, or Sal will, rip up a quick hip hop or funk or a reggae beat, or some classic rock. If I'm just being expressive. But when I'm really taking a deep dive, and I want to examine my technique, and I want to make adjustments to my technique and improve my technique, I always use a metronome. And when I record, I always use a metronome. And the only reason why I don't use a metronome at practice is because our drummer uses a metronome in practice and on stage, because of the kind of music that we play. Okay? So going back to what Scott said, okay, it's hard to talk about metronomes with musicians, because as soon as you say the big scary metronome word, people start bringing out their ego costumes. And the idea is this, is that if you were really, really good, and you were the highest quality, at the top of your game musician, there'll be more instances where you don't need one, for lack of there being better or available English. So there are really good players that don't need them. And that's where the ego costume comes out, because the truth is, most of us, are you ready for this? Most of us are not that good as musicians, and we need them. It's like a guitar tuner. I've never been able to go on stage and tune to a concert C. I've never been able to tune, to a concert E. Like, can you tune can you tune 6 strings without a guitar tuner? No. And if you can, please prove it to me so I can buy you a beer or something, and we can make a cool YouTube video. Like, if you can tune your guitar to your ear, then please introduce yourself to me so I can have you on the program, But just in the same way as guitar players don't tune their guitars, the metronome is there for drummers to not fall out of timing. Okay? So if you're playing in a lazy backyard blues band and there's not a bunch of requirements to play like a record, or the music is not memorable or notable, people aren't going to be able to point out, hey, that part doesn't go there, or that's not those lyrics, then don't worry about it. You don't need a metronome. If you're in a jam band, you don't need a metronome. If you're a freestyle rapper, you don't need a metronome. People don't need them, for the sake of English. But there are certain kind of situations and professional setups, and especially like the music that Sepsis makes, we don't have backtracks. So even much more so, our drummer plays to a click and plays to a metronome because of the kind of music that Sepsis makes. And that's because we are not so good as musicians where we don't need one. Okay? So that's the problem. And that's why a lot of people won't use metronomes or try to discover them or talk about them, because in order to use one, you have to admit that you suck. You have to admit that you can't keep time. In order to use a guitar tuner, you have to admit that your ears don't hear perfect pitch. Guitar players don't want to believe that. Drummers don't want to believe they're out of time, so they'll make excuses about metronomes. Admitting that you use and need a metronome is admitting that your skill and your technique needs adjustments. If you can't play to a metronome, then you can't play tight. Let's get into it. I hope this helps people today. Why you should use a metronome when playing live. Now, I was going to do one about practice, but hey, whatever. So this says here, simply, using a metronome live, it makes you a better musician. That's why. Look at that. If that's not clear, why use a metronome? Because, as it says on the screen right here, it makes you a better musician. We've heard often from musicians who are resistant on using a click track that, here we go, quote, real musicians don't use a click. That's simply untrue. Using a click isn't because of a deficiency, i.e., not a good enough musician to stay in time. Hey, there you have it, you guys. It's a tool that can be used to enhance what you're already doing. A bad musician playing to a click is still a bad musician. A good musician playing to a click is a good musician. In the case of the bad musician, at least playing with a click will eventually improve their timing. Playing with a click is necessary discipline on the path to becoming a great musician. Your timing will improve, and in turn, your skill will improve, including a click in a live setting will only further that improvement. Let's go. Furthermore, it helps everyone stay in sync in the band. Remember what I just said? Look at that. It's 11:11, y'all. Modern music calls on musicians of all types to implement rhythmic effects into their arsenal. Keyboardists need to play arps, sidechain pads, and rhythmic bass lines. Boobity 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 boop. Electric guitars use delays. Ba da 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 da. The edge style rhythmic parts. And vocalists can drown their vocals in reverb and delays to create a produced vocal sound. We're getting all type of drops today. Are we still here? Yo, are we still here? I hope we're still here because it just said it dropped. Put a 1 in the chat if we're still here. Uh-oh. I hope this is still going on. If you guys are still here, well, I'm going to use the bathroom. Fuck it. This is one of those days we can't slack on the water. Can't slack on the water this week. We got to really drink this shit. I hate water. I really shouldn't say that, but I don't enjoy drinking it. You know what I mean? Let me go give some waters to everybody. Water! Drink water! Drink lots of water. It's gonna be 100 degrees. Gotta drink lots of water. It's gonna be 100 degrees. What do you say? Probably. It's gonna. I mean, it's gonna be extremely hot. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, I'm just warm. Just telling them, get ready for it now. Yeah, it. There's a possibility too. We might not do the podcast this week. I mean, it's supposed to be. They're talking about 100. We might have to figure out a different plan. Just this week, though. It's just with us doing everything. I don't want to make no mistakes. Scott says he's been tuning by ear since I know my sound and the feeling. Yeah, like if you got your own thing, for sure, 100%. But with all the tricky tunings and everything that people do now, it also depends really on what you're doing. Are you screaming? Are you singing? Are you talking? Are you rapping? Like for we have to tune our instruments in our band. We have to tune them like kind of to Melissa, right? Because we have a clean singer in the band, and most of our music is with clean singing. It's probably 70%. I do some little screams here and there, but we don't focus, directly on screaming. There's always so many bands that do that so well that we kind of have something else going on. So and Melissa's voice is just really unique. There's a lot of singers today. You could debate whether they're good singers or bad singers. That's not the conversation for me. But I think what makes a great singer is a singer that has a unique voice and can manage to stay on tune and in time most of the time. You know, I'm not mad at any singer if they miss a note here and there every now and then in a song, but I need my clean singers to be hitting notes. Yeah. If even if you're like in the 50s or 60s or modern day music, if you can't sing, put some auto tune on that or something, you know? If you can't hit the note, you gotta go get a machine to do that, help you out. That's all. And that's an acceptable thing now. I'm not mad at nobody for doing that. If you don't sound good, go get a machine or something, or practice. Practice. What? Yo, Scott, I got to learn more about what's going on in New York. You guys have like the craziest emergency advisories I was reading yesterday in New York City. I was like, oh my God, it should sound like the end of the world type shit. We'll do a story on it. Well, I'll do the story. I'll wait till the hottest day and I'll do a story on it. I think it's Thursday. I'll come out here and melt on the computer. All right, let's keep this going. So it helps everyone, it helps the band stay in sync, okay? Modern music calls on musicians of all types to implement rhythmic effects into their arsenal. Playing to a click makes sure everything is perfectly in sync. Guitar players can finally rest their foot and not try to tap the tempo every second of the song. Everyone can perform the tempo of each song. I'm sorry, let me back that up. Everyone can program the tempo of each song into their keyboards, pedals, and consoles and recall the correct tempo for each song. Or you can connect everything with MIDI and automatically update the tempos without any human interventions. Huh? With everyone at the same tempo, where are you going? Okay. With everyone at the same tempo, everything will sound together and tighter. Trying to pull off tight rhythmic performances without a click is difficult. Do you hear that? Trying to pull off tight rhythmic performances without a click is difficult, if not impossible. Keep the click going and watch how quickly your performances tighten up. The other reason that you want to use a metronome playing live is because it's the fucking truth. You got to listen to this one, if nothing else. Guys, musicians, why do you want to use a metronome? Why do you want to incorporate a metronome, especially for your drummer in your band? Because it's the truth. A drummer friend of mine once said, "The click don't lie." That has always struck a chord with me. It means 75 beats per minute is 75 beats per minute. You can argue as much as you'd like, but the click isn't slowing down. You are. Having the click set the time for everyone removes any question about what the tempo really is and if you're at it. Do you get it? When you play to a click, it gives you the access to the truth. It frees everyone, especially the drummer, you guys, it frees them up to just focus on playing. You can lean back or you can stay on top of the click based on the style of your music. But everyone has the true tempo as a reference. It's a reference. It's not a band member. Drummers everywhere, rejoice. Your job just got, look what this says, drummers, easier. It got easier, not harder. If you're using this correctly, drumming should be getting easier for you. Next, why do we want to use a metronome? I don't envy drummers. They have one of the most difficult jobs in the band. Trust me, it's difficult. Singers and drummers are the most difficult part of Sepsis. I can say so for sure. First, the band plays a song at 72 BPM. Then we expect the drummer to count us in to a song at 120 BPMs immediately after the last measure. You've got to have a great memory, muscle memory, to go to 72 to 120 in a measure and get it perfectly. I would love to see somebody do this. This is for you, little drummer. Light him up. Light him if you got him. Like LRF out this motherfucker. All right, here's another reason. Why should we use metronomes playing live? Why do musicians and drummers and singers and guitar players use metronomes live? Because it's going to help you improve transitions. There's nothing like watching a band play live, and as they come out of a big song with a big ending into a new song that starts with vocals and pad. There's a beautiful moment, and then you hear it, and the vocals start. Since they're not playing with a click, the drummer has to audibly keep time for everyone. Get a band on in-ears and get them playing with a click, and the drummer can take a breather for a few measures. Drummers, I'm trying to make your lives easier with this article, says the author. Music can flow seamlessly from one song into the next, and everyone will be able to keep time and know exactly when to come in. Great transitions will make a good band sound great, and a great band sound even better. If you want to instantly improve your transitions, get your band playing on a metronome. This is what my homeboy Nate was saying. If you guys do backtracks, okay, this doesn't apply to our band, but let's read it out for the people that do, because I know a lot of hard rock and heavy metal bands have been incorporating a lot of their technology that they have in recordings. It would take us a lot. We'd have to bring a whole computer on stage to do that. And Sepsis just cannot have a computer on stage. But for those people that have a boosted performance package, this is for you. Once you've mastered playing with a click, add in tracks, guys. You can keep the pad in the tracks and play the piano part live. Keep the rhythmic keys part in the track and play the lead line. Add a filtered drum loop or a tambourine in the chorus to take your sound to another level. I love that. That's cool. Tracks can help you recreate the sound that you had in your head and in the studio. You can take them on stage, and you can only use these tracks if you're first using in-ears and you're playing with a metronome. So, I mean, you can't even play with. I guess you can't even do it. I don't use backtracks, but I never really thought about it. You'd have to have in-ears, right? At least. I'm guessing you'd have to have a metronome, right? If you have, like, orchestral parts. I don't know. Maybe you guys can leave some comments. So why do we want to use a metronome on stage? You can change your presets perfectly. Are you changing presets on your keyboard throughout your sets while trying to balance the part just right? Do you have to buy a new pair of shoes each month because you wear them out tapping on the pedals throughout the set? That's a hard worker. If you're playing to a click, then you're one step away from running a MIDI cable to your keyboard or using Ableton Live to call up your presets perfectly every time. Guys, a quick note here. That's why I use the head rush. On the head rush, I can't. I wish I had it here, like on the screen. On the head rush, each song, when Robert counts, people don't know this. When Robert's counting the time, I'll often re-tap the time. I have a metronome on my head rush. And as Robert counts out the time, I count out the time on the pedal often to recalibrate the tempo on and synchronization on my rigs so I can call up presets, and my delays will be, nearly in time with everything that the drums are doing. So if he goes 1, 2, 3, 4, when he's doing that, I go 1, 2. Then he go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 and 2 and see. Woo! Blessings to you. Sorry to see you go through that. Add a true bypass looper to your pedal board. Connect your pedals, save a few presets, and run a MIDI cable from Ableton to your looper. Now your pedals turn on and off at the perfect time. Simplicity is superior to complexity. You guys, I hold on. Sepsis band. Can somebody tag my band members? Ooh, somebody's got to tag the band. I can't even do it from here. Because this is what I have to say about all of this. No matter what type of technology you're bringing on stage, and this is one for my band. From lights to metronomes to in-ears to wireless, this is for you, Sepsis. Simplicity is superior to complexity. But a properly set up system can take the complex and make it simple. Set it up a few times, set up your cables, and your sounds will switch perfectly and will nail the part every time. Pre-production and key here, simplicity is superior to complexity. This is why if you ever look at my setup as a guitar player, I'm the old motherfucker in the band. I do simple. Everything I'm doing is comfortable and simple. Fuck that. The music's complicated, so I got to make everything else. Look at all these metronomes. I think they're trying to tell us something. Anybody want to buy us a Tama RW200? We'll take it. No, they got really good apps now on the phone. So like if you have an old iPhone that you're not using, you know, they have a lot of offline apps that just run right off the phone. It's nice. So I would do that. But a person could experiment with all these gadgets, and there's one thing that this article doesn't tell you, is that yes, this is all helpful and time is true, and these are awesome tools, just like a guitar tuner is an amazing tool to have on stage. But Scott did say that he was able to use his ears to tune the best that he can. And I think that if you have a metronome and you're using it, you're only using it correctly if at any given part during the song you can ignore it. It shouldn't, if you're paying attention to the clock and you're not playing with the band, you're going to run into a lot of trouble. So the time's going to keep going, right? Because the band's going to keep going. Did you get what I said? So the song's going to start and it's going to continue on until the song ends. And we're going to play it accurately, in time and in tuned, or not. So the song's going to start and the song's going to end. The question is, are we playing it accurate? Are we playing it in time? Are we playing it in tuned? See what I'm saying? So this is why we use a metronome. Not because we need it for the sake of English, because it makes us self-aware of what the authentic tempo of each song is. It's just a reminder to go 1, 2, 3. Now you go back to playing the song. Every now and then you're gonna reference it. You're gonna hear it in the back of your ear, and every now and then you're gonna go, it's right here, and you're gonna go back to playing, and you're gonna hear it 3, 4, 5. You go back to playing. It should cut out. It should disappear entirely. The better you play on a metronome, you'll hear some people say, it's cutting out. Good. You'll hear some people say, I can't, when I get playing good with a metronome, I can't hear it anymore. Then you can add subdivisions if you need it. So sometimes if it's going like this, you need a Anna, 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 Anna. Then put some subdivisions in there. Some people need an accent. So it goes 1, Anna, 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 ding, Anna, 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 ding. So sometimes you need to have some some intervals or accents or spaces, but every song's going to be different. And what I do when I set up a metronome, I set up each of my subdivisions to the feeling, how I feel the song is. Let me show you. So like something like Eyes of Empathy, right? It has slow parts, okay? Some of the slow parts are this slow. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. This is really slow. Or is it? Is it? Is this really slow? Or is it? Or is it? Is this really slow? Or is it? Or is it? So it can be slow, medium, or fast. It can be subdivided, right? So a song like Eyes of Empathy, for somebody like me, it's a matter of taste. I might do something for Eyes of Empathy that sounds like this. Now, obviously, like if I'm wobbly here, it's not going to wobble right. Boom, banana, boom, banana, boom, banana, boom, banana, nana, boom, banana, nana, boom, banana, nana, boom, banana, nana, banana, nana, nana. So this is subdivided, and I have it going at nearly, what is that, like 200 BPMs almost, is really fast, right? Tick, 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 that's really fast. But if I cut this in half, 1, 2, 3, that's double half. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 7 and 8. So maybe that's not the way I want to hear the music. Maybe I want to hear it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Maybe I don't want to hear 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 7 and 8. But if you have a bouncy song, you might want to subdivide it to where it bounces. So that's why with a song like Eyes of Empathy that has 2, 4, and 4 time sequences, so we do, like something like this. 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2. See? And then full time 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 1 back to back back back. There's your snare, backbeat, back back back. And that is why I have, for example, a song that might be 180 BPMs, something that you set the tempo at that speed, it really might feel at times like half of whatever tempo you decide to lock in for the recording. So try to choose a metronome style and subdivision style that fits and helps you out with your songs. I tend to choose a lot of bouncy added divisions because a lot of Sepsis music is dancey. So we want to make sure that our slow songs are really bouncy. So that's why we use the metronome and we have subdivisions. We add more of the divisions normally on slower songs because we want to keep that bounce. So even when we're playing something that's slow, the people that are listening to the metronome can know the space between each note and where it bounces and where the energy is most valuable. Let's watch. See, now it's relatively slow. Doom, doom, snare. Doom, 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 snare. But we have this bounce going on. Doom, doom, snare. We got this energy still going that says, hurry up, hurry up, hurry up. So we can play a relatively slow rhythm and have the audience still feel like it's packed with energy. So I hope that helps you today, guys. I know it wasn't a very long stream today, but that's just because it's hot. We're going to try to get the house cooled down early and run some errands. But I appreciate you guys learning with me and talking with me today and learning about the value and the reasons why many bands, including ours, we practice with metronomes and we use metronomes live on stage. I hope you guys can work with some of these tools and experiment with them. Don't approach this with fear. You know, listen to Hans. Everybody, keep the lights off and the energy low. And I'll be back tomorrow on William versus the World. Music industry news, social media, technology. Every weekday, 10:30 a.m. I'll see you guys tomorrow.